it's like that was not a good professional performance. And then she was everybody's favorite Hindu Indian prosecutor and attorney general and senator, and now she becomes black. But, you know, I met her daddy, fine gentleman, Professor Harris. And the problem with her being black is Professor Harris says he's Caucasian, mixed Irish and Hindu. He doesn't have any black ancestors, but his Irish ancestors owned a lot of slaves in Jamaica and had them to work on plantation. So if mama is on the birth certificate listed as a Caucasian, daddy says he's a Caucasian Hindu and has no black ancestors, how did she get to be black? She went to Howard, and by the way, she told one big lie when she was talking about she got busted because of something Biden did when she was running against him. Well, the yearbook that she put out there that you can still get online from her high school in Canada shows she went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Canada, never went to school in the United States of America. And the birth certificate that she has is interesting because the confusion comes from a mistake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake. Now, if you've ever been to Jamaica and you go over to St. Elizabeth Parish, you see all the high, bright, and white. They live in Jamaica. Your truck stake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake. Now, if you've ever been to Jamaica and you go over to St. Elizabeth Parish, you see all the high, bright, and white. They live in Jamaica. So if you go over there, you see people from Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, Kenya, South Africa, you name it. It's part of the British Commonwealth, and nobody needed a passport, and you could just go in and out. So it's not unusual. You're not black just because you're from Jamaica, and you have a whole lot of white people that never left, and their ancestors owned a lot of slaves. The Maroons went up into the hill country and got themselves free back in the 1840s, but, you know, other than that, it is what it is in Jamaica. Well, you're not black just because you're from Jamaica, and you have a whole lot of white people that never left, and their ancestors owned a lot of slaves. The Maroons went up into the hill country and got themselves free back in the 1840s, but, you know, other than that, it is what it is in Jamaica. So just because you're from that country does not mean you are of the black race. So the problem is why don't you go get your daddy to give you an affidavit that you have a black ancestor? And since the only possible claim you have is through your great-grandmother, who he says was a Hindu house servant that just happens to be swarthy, where'd you get your blackness from? See, you're faking it again. Be chief administrative officer. But she's never been the boss over anything. She was nominally with the Attorney General's office, but you've got all of these egos with all of these people with doctorate of laws who've taken the bar exam, and every one of them in there could run against you in an election and be your boss, and is as qualified technically as you are to run the place. So she's never been the boss in charge of something where she dictated, because what she did in San Francisco and when she got over California is she essentially had somebody else doing it, and she was just a political figurehead. So when you come into this situation here, Putin, You know, Russia, Ukraine, those are serious things. They have a lot of nukes. You've got Xi Jinping, and China's got one hell of a huge army, air force, nukes, computer systems, and so on. What is your experience in international diplomacy? You got made the representative of the country to handle the foreign affairs. You failed so badly they yanked you out when you were actually the boss in charge. The borders are. You just complete abject failure to that. Your only appearance down there was to sit in a chair in the desert while they interviewed you trying to be cute. She had a little rally in Georgia. I think 86 people showed up. That was supposed to be interesting. And she had the nerve to call Vance unpatriotic, and he came back on a big time. He said, simplify, to serve, loyalty. I was in the Marine Corps over in the sand pile, and Trump took a bullet. What the hell have you done? You know, and you want to call somebody out on the subject. See, it's hypocrisy. But you see, I did this because I did what I did, and that's what I did, which is because that's why I did it. Hey, what the hell did you just say? Do you realize?
Yeah, well, the Democratic Party for a very long time, not just this election cycle, has been doing a lot of active outreach around to South Asians, around the API in general, and will continue to do it. I mean, what we know in particular when you're talking about the South Asian community, we're talking about the Indian community more specifically, it is a growing community in the United States in terms of its voting bloc, in terms of its participation, and I think the party knows that and knows that this is part of our collective community, and there needs to be outreach and inclusion.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
You could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
Worked so hard. Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay.
On her watch, more than 10 million illegal aliens have invaded our country, and it wasn't by accident, it was by design. Creating this flood of illegal immigration is the purpose of the ultra-liberal immigration policies. They said they were going to do it, and then they did it on Kamala Harris's first day in office. They suspended deportations. They stopped building Donald Trump's border wall. They reinstated catch-up. Everyone knows that Kamala Harris owns every failure of the ultra-liberal policies in the last 4 years. As America's border czar, and she was the border czar, the media all said it, Kamala Harris is directly responsible for the worst border crisis in this nation's history.